if you step on a snail, it's going to die. So there's certain amounts of stress that you don't want to do. But what you want to do is get the body to fear adversity and the future, but not enough to cause lasting damage or the unspooling of the DNA that'll lead to disease and eventually death. So you don't want to overdo it. You want to be a little bit puffed, you want to be a little bit hungry, but of course starvation, malnutrition is not going to make you live longer. So it's a fine line, and what we've learned from many animal studies and increasing numbers of clinical trials in humans is that you want to pulse it, let the body recover, not constant. We used to make animals go hungry all their lives, and it worked. But it actually works better if you let them recover, and I think that's the secret.
Then let's really dive into that. So I'm guessing you're talking about where animals were denied something like 20 to 30% of their caloric intake for very long periods of time. It was extending their life by what, like 30% or something? So super interesting. But you're saying that if their caloric intake over a long period of time is roughly the same as an animal that's just allowed to eat until it's satiated, that if it's done in a pulse pattern of hunger, and almost overfeed, they actually have the same benefits as the animal that has a chronic deficit of calories?
All right, well, let's be clear. Nobody knows what the perfect diet is, even when it comes to fasting. It's all largely based on rodent studies. So what I can tell you about the rodent studies, which I'm very familiar with, is that if you take a rodent and reduce its calories by 25% for its whole life, it will live longer, 30%, but it'll be really miserable and aggressive. And that's true for us as well. I've tried calorie restriction for about a week and I gave up. I was pretty angry. But what we discovered, my colleagues discovered, is that it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat that's important. And what's been found is that as long as you have that period of hunger in a mouse, so you can feed them every other day, then they can gorge themselves as much as they want. And they do. They eat about 90% of what a mouse having free access to food would eat. But they have the same longevity benefit as a mouse that's always been hungry. And if that's true, what that means is for us is that we can enjoy life as long as we have that period of hunger once a day or maybe twice a week. And I believe the only reason we age, we could live for 1,000 years otherwise. The only reason we age is that our repair systems become complacent. You mentioned that what is beneficial for you when you're young come back to bite you when you're old. What we think is that these repair systems are very good when we're young. So the idea is, it's called antagonistic pleiotropy, and I think it's right, and that is that we evolve to stay healthy and alive and fit till we're 40, and then the forces of natural selection decline after that because we've essentially bred, we've often had children, but we don't need to stick around beyond that, and building a body that will last 1,000 years is pointless at that. So most species only live as long as they need to reproduce, and then a little bit more. If you're a mouse that could die within 2 years, they only build a body that lasts 2 years. If you're a whale that has no predators, you can live for a couple of 100 years. That makes more sense.